I can understand why many people celebrated the Supreme Court's ruling on same-sex marriage, a goal that even 10 years ago seemed so unattainable for advocates of marriage equality. But to a troubling degree, the media kind of joined in the celebration. I was watching MSNBC for hours, and gay commentators and gay actors and gay celebrities, just a steady parade with barely a nod to the notion that there was another side in this 5-4 decision. Now, I think over the years, the press has played a role in the shifting of public opinion. And let's make no mistake about it, that shifting has been remarkable. In a few short years now, 60% in public opinion surveys supporting the right to same-sex marriage, which thanks to the High Court is now the law of the land in all 50 states. And I think one of the reasons this happened is journalists privately, I think most of them very sympathetic to that goal, but also the coverage tended to focus on when the first few states would adopt either by court decree or by referendum or legislative action. The focus would be, the camera would zero in on happy couples kissing and hugging and how thrilled they were to be able to participate in this institution. And I think for a lot of Americans who were wary of it or hadn't given much thought, this kind of put a human face and turned it from an abstract political debate into a human interest story in which it became harder to deny that there was anything terrible about people getting married. But at the same time, even though 60% now favor this, that means 40% of the country is against it, as well as the 4 justices who dissented in very strong terms. And I think we have to be careful, even though the court has spoken, to respect the views of those who, for whatever reason, personal, traditional, religious, are not comfortable with same-sex marriage. And I don't want to see the press slide into the notion, we've seen some left-wing extremists do this, that anybody who now opposes same-sex marriage is a bigot, is the equivalent of a racist. And that is a real danger. As we have seen in some celebrated cases having to do with bakers and others providing services or declining to provide services to gay weddings. I don't think that's fair when you consider that President Obama, until the spring of 2012, was opposed to same-sex marriage, and Hillary Clinton also evolved and so forth. Of course, the Republican candidates mostly opposed to this, and Democratic candidates led by the president celebrate this. And one last point. Having been in this business for a while, there was a time in the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s when journalists who were gay were mostly closeted, did not feel comfortable coming out as gay. In the case of television, anchors who might have worried about alienating part of their audience, this has been true up and even until the last few years. And so the press was not always on the vanguard here. In fact, in the 60s and the 70s, there were stories that referred to homosexuals as deviants and worse. So to some extent, the press has followed the tide of public opinion here. And to another extent, especially in recent years, I think the press has influenced the coverage and now very much reflecting the majority opinion on gay marriage. But let us not forget that not everybody agrees with what is now the media consensus.